Shalom Yasharala Yahweh. Brother Malach. I'm back with the biblical lesson. Man of many gifts and talents, but there's nothing like the gift of prophecy and prophesying. And I want to give all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. This lesson is going to be entitled The Number One Opposition. I like that. Number one opposition. What is the number one opposition in this ministry, in this walk? Road to kingdom, road to the kingdom of heaven, road to kingdom. Because contrary to unpopular belief, that's really the only thing that matters. Where will you spend? Well, ultimately, we're all going to be in the kingdom of heaven. We're all going to be in the kingdom of heaven. The 2/3 are going to come back through the loins of the 1/3, and the heathens, the Gentiles, they're going to regenerate as well. So we're all going to regenerate. Regeneration is in the Bible, but it's about having that ticket, that first ticket, so to speak. And what salak? What will your position be in the kingdom of heaven? Will you be least in the kingdom of heaven, or will you be great in the kingdom of heaven? So that's really what it is. Getting that first ticket on those spaceships, chariots, into the kingdom, the 1,000-year reign and beyond with Yahweh Shah Mashiach. The kingdom of heaven, that's what you're really fighting for. That first runner-up, so to speak. But the number one opposition in this ministry, in this walk, besides these devils, according to Psalms 83, 1-6, and a plethora of scriptures and scrolls, it's the flesh. It's you. Your flesh, you and your flesh. Let's grab Romans chapter 8, verse 4. Now, don't get it twisted. Yahweh has created desires, even lust, if you will, because you have righteous lust. You have righteous lust and you have wicked lust. Yin and yang, up and down, short, tall, fat, small, darker, lighter, daytime, nighttime, woman, man, water, land, yin and yang that Yahweh has created. You have righteous lust, you have wicked lust. But the thing is not to dwell in wicked lust. And what is wicked lust? Anything that goes against the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, so to speak. Anything that entices wicked lust. And really those things that entice wicked lust usually about 99% of the time goes against the holy commandments. So there you have sin, wicked lust. And what is sin? According to the scrolls, it is 1 John 3:4. For sin is the transgression of the holy law, basically Yahweh's covenant. And who was the covenant given unto? It was given unto you Israelites. You are the blood covenant people. So therefore, by default, you are the only ones that can sin. How about that? Romans 8, chapter 4. Romans 8, chapter, verse 4. It says that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh. You have scrolls that tell you what the flesh is. Adultery. That means having sex with another person's wife. Or a woman that's already married to a man having sex with another man. That's not her husband. That's adultery. You're breaking the law. Fornication. Just out here just having casual sex. with no intentions of dedication, marriage, consistency. Fornication. You, Yahweh wants you to be married. It's a covenant. Uh, Breaking the, even though there's a toss up between what is the Shabbat, is it Friday sundown or Saturday sundown? Is it lunar Sabbaths? Breaking the Shabbat, the Sabbath. That's sin. Um, Basically, man, the laws and statutes and commandments of the Bible, coveting another person's possessions, being, which falls under, envy, jealousy. This is works of the flesh. Stealing from one another. You Israelites, bearing false witness. See, these things are what causes you to sin when you commit them. This is sin. This is wicked lust. So reading on, Romans 8:4 says that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh. And I just gave you a list of the fleshly things. It says, but they that are after the Spirit do the things of the Spirit. And what is the Spirit? Joy, peace, kindness, humbleness, long-suffering, endurance, patience. Keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. We don't hang our hat on the law wholly because we know that we're in this flesh. As you have many scrolls, many scriptures that speak of Salak, you have many scrolls and scriptures that speak on this being in this flesh. How we go off. The creature is subject to vanity. All of our righteousness is like a filthy rag. This vile body must be changed. That's the whole purpose of Yahushua coming to beam up the elect. So we don't hang everything on the law, but the law is important because it's that measuring stick, if you will. It's the measuring stick. But everything goes hand in hand. The laws, faith, righteous works, etc., etc. It says, for to be carnally minded, that means to be in the flesh, adultery, fornication, lying, coveting, breaking the law, stealing, from, you Israelites. The laws is unto you Israelites, specifically. And you're not supposed to be doing these things to one another. Bearing false witness, celebrating these demonic holidays and whatnot. Not keeping the covenant to the best of your ability. That's what carnally minded means, basically. It says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is the opposite. You're going to do the total opposite of everything I just named. And that brings us all the way back home to the point of this lesson. Your biggest opposition is your flesh, yourself. The lust of the world, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, the flesh. That's the biggest opposition in this ministry, in this walk, in this road to kingdom. Romans 8 verse 6, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind, your flesh, is enmity against Yahweh. Exactly. Because Yahweh is spirit. He dwells, in the spirit, the spiritual things, the righteous things. says, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh. Because if if you're committing adultery, fornication, lying, bearing false witness, revelings, doing all these things against one another, you Israelites, then you're being carnal. You're being carnal minded. You're working in the flesh. You're not working in the spirit. It says, because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can it be. It says, so they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Jumping down to verse 13, for if you live after the flesh, you shall die. And that's, every believer knows this. Even to these believers that think they're really in the true doctrine, that think they really know the word, even they know this. For if you live after the flesh, you shall die. But through the spirit, do mortify the deeds of the flesh, and you shall live. So you got to bring all your intrusive thoughts, wicked thoughts, and bind them in the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You got to bind them in the name of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. You see, you hear. Can you conceive? Do you believe? Now here's the point that I made earlier within this lesson, this quick lesson. I'm not going to be too long. Romans 8, verse 20, it says, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly. So the creature is this flesh. You're a spirit, man. Even to the heathens, even to the Gentiles, and the Israelites. We're all spirits having a earthly experience. We're spirits in an earthly vessel, in a corrupted earthly vessel, if I may add. And what I mean by that is spiritually. When I say corrupted spiritually, now some people are corrupted physically. They got elements, so-called diseases, amputations, etc., etc. Yahweh has judged them however he judged them. But when it says the creature was made subject to vanity, it's talking about this spiritually speaking. How that, not so much how that, but the way that the creature, imperfection, word shaping in iniquity and imperfection. That's just the best way to put it. It says, for the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, because we didn't ask for this, through the fall of Adam and how everything took its course. The creature is made subject to vanity, which is sin, corruption. It says not willingly, but by reason of him, Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, who have subjected the same in hope. So even though he gave us this lot, so to speak, we still have that lot of glorified, of glory, of being glorified, perfection. And I'll get into that in probably the next lesson. It says, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from this bondage, spiritually speaking. This is spiritual, parabolic talk. The bondage of corruption is this spiritually speaking, this flesh, the imperfections, the corruptions, not being glorified, not having that God body. This whole thing is about the Israelites becoming glorified, becoming gods amongst mortals. That's chiefly what this thing is going to be. It says, for we know that the whole creation, even to and see, it's talking about everything here, the whole creation, even to the animals, the earth, even to the heathens, the Gentiles, even to the waters, the air, the trees. For we know that the whole creation groans and travails in pain together until now. So yeah, man, that's what it is. You have to gird up your loins as a man and put off that weak nature, man. Put off the weak nature, which is this flesh. You know, everybody has their flaws, their devils, so to speak, their flaws, their weaknesses, and you have to fight them. You gotta fight them. Gird up your loins. Put off the weak nature. Mortify the deeds of the flesh. You gotta put off that old for you Israelites. And I probably say for you Gentiles as well. You actual Gentiles, you heathens, you ethnic heathens, Gentiles. I'll say the same thing as you know, the same thing goes for you as well. Because Yahweh did say that there is some Gentiles that will be called by his name. Amos 9:11 and 12, that will serve us, that will serve the Israelites in the kingdom. Well, all the nations are going to serve the Israelites in the kingdom, just as the Israelites are serving all the nations right now. But I already went through precept upon precept showing you that the Israelites are going to be glorified perfect in the kingdom of heaven, and the Gentiles, the ethnic Gentiles, are not going to be perfect. We're going to be teaching them according to Isaiah chapter 2, where it says that the nations will grab the skirt of an Israelite, a Jew, and say, come, let us serve his God, his power, etc., etc., and learn his ways. So that right there shows you that you ethnic heathen, you Gentiles, are not going to be perfected. So you're going to need the laws, the statutes, and commandments, need to learn them. The Israelites are going to be perfected. So, yeah, but to the Gentiles and heathens on this side right now, on this side that understands the truth, that understands who Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah's people are, and want to cleave unto the house of Judah and the house of Israel, if I was a born an ethnic heathen, I would say, do the things of the Bible. That's what I would say. You know, that's what I would do. So, you know, because eventually that's what we're going to do anyway, man. In the kingdom, we're going to do that anyway. But right now, y'all barely follow anything right now. So the message really goes into the Israelites, because you ethnic Gentiles, majority of y'all don't give a rat's you know what about the Bible anyway. And Yahweh Shah told you and tells you that I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So it is what it is. But if that was my lot, and that's not my lot, clearly. I'm a bloodline Israelite from one of the royal regal tribes of the house of Judah in Israel. And my lot is different. But if I was, born a Gentile, that was my lot. Like I said, I'll be trying to wake up Yahweh's people and follow the covenant. That's just what it is. That's just logical to me. But to bring it back home, man, so the flesh, this is the biggest thing. And this devil knows this. And when I say devil, I'm going back to the antagonist of this whole thing, which is, who by now, the antagonist, Esau. This is why they make everything contrary to the covenant. They make everything contrary to the covenant. I really don't have to dive into it because you should see it. Babylon, modern day Babylon, all type of perversions, all type of things allowed. Live as thou wilt, being your flesh. That's what Esau represents, being your flesh. Enjoy the flesh. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with enjoying your flesh, as long as the flesh is subjugated to the holy law. Aha. That's the thing. The flesh has to be subjugated to the holy law. You can enjoy sex, but you got to be married. You can enjoy food, but you should not commit gluttony. You can enjoy strong drink, but you can't be a drunkard. You can go out and enjoy yourself, but you're not supposed to be I'll go with a wild dog, so to speak. So that's what I'm saying, man. Everything, you Israelites, we are to manifest life according to the holy laws to the best of our ability, because we do know that we're in this corrupted flesh that needs to be changed, and then we will be glorified soon to come. The glorification is coming to where we no longer have to fight against our flesh. Paul put it so. Let's grab Paul. What is that? Romans. I'll end it with Romans 9. Romans 9, it says, no, not Romans 9. I don't know if I want Romans 9. I want Romans 7. It's probably Romans 7. Romans 7. Yeah, so it's Romans 7. We'll get into Romans 7. It says, Romans 7, verse 14, it says, for we know that the law, the holy law, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that, thou shalt not this, thou shalt not that, thou shalt not this. That is the holy law, the covenant, the Torah. It says, for we know that the holy law, the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, flesh, corruption, the fall of man, sold under sin. What is sin? Sin is the transgression of the holy law. That's what sin is. Sin is transgression of the holy law. Verse 15, it says, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would do, or for what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that I do. And every believer knows what Paul is talking about. We all do. We all been through it. We all go through it. For that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I would not. It says, if then I do that which I would not, I consent to the law that it is good. Now then it is no more I that do it, but sin, that corruption that dwells in me. And that's the whole fight right now. Yahweh wants to see, from my understanding, man, Yahweh wants to see who is going to work to mortify the deeds of the flesh to the best of their ability. That's what I see. This is what this thing is about. This thing is about who is going to prove themselves worthy, mortify their deeds of the flesh to the best of their ability, and to choose Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai over their pleasures. And like I said, Yahweh made the world for us to dwell in pleasure, to enjoy things, but it has to be done and subjugated under the holy law. But there's still this other arc that's going on, which is your flesh versus your spirit versus your flesh. It says Romans 7, verse 17. It says, now then it is no more I that do it, but sin that dwells in me. It says, for I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwells no good thing. It says, for to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not. It says, for the good that I would do, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Every believer has experienced this and gone through this and goes through this, especially if you're in this ministry, in this walk. It is the flesh versus spirit, the spirit versus flesh. It says, for the good that I would, I do not, but the evil which I would not, that I do. Now, if I do that I would not, it is no more I that do it, but sin, iniquity, corruption of man that dwells in me. I find then a law that when I would do good, evil, corruption is present with me. And like I said, that's this whole proven ground, chiefly for the Israelites, because you heathens, you Gentiles, you're not really under the covenant, under the law. The law wasn't given unto you; it was given unto the children of Israel. And what is sin? Sin is the transgression of the law. So by that, who can technically really only sin? The Israelites. And these devils know this. This is why they did everything in their power to make the children of Israel keep going off, keep sinning. Put pork all in your food, put pork all in the ingredients, switch up the Bible, switch up everything. They know, man. These devils know. They know. But that's the thing, man. This is the proving ground for you Israelites. You know, as second Prophet Esdras puts it. In second Esdras 6, I believe that's 656, 57, or is that 756, 57? For this is the battle that man that is born upon the earth shall fight. And that battle is basically the flesh versus spirit, your spirit versus flesh. That's what it is. I was a little long-winded on this. I only wanted like 15. We already passed that. So I'm going to call it short. We want to give glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakadash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is near. He's coming. Prophecies are gunning everywhere. And you Israelites, this is just about time. For the elect Israelites. It's just about time for the elect Israelites to get up out of Babylon, man. Y'all ain't tired of being in Babylon.